Commander Yoon stood by the tall glass window of the United Earth Embassy, watching Earth's blue glow from the orbital station. Today was important. The Vith were coming, and everyone felt the weight of it. Yoon had been a soldier before becoming a diplomat. 20 years fighting in the Mars colonies had left her with a metal knee and scars that sometimes ached when she was nervous. Right now they were aching badly. "They're here," said Jin, her assistant. He handed her a tablet showing the alien ship docking. The Vith delegation just requested permission to board. Yoon nodded and straightened her blue uniform jacket. "Let them in, and remember what we discussed. No matter what they say, we stay calm." The Vith had appeared in Earth's solar system 8 months ago. Their ships were like nothing humans had built, sleek, silent, and able to travel faster than light. At first, people had been excited. First contact. But excitement quickly turned to worry when the Vith started making demands. 5 diplomats entered the meeting room, followed by their guards. The Vith looked almost human, except for their purple-tinted skin and eyes with double pupils. They moved with perfect posture, like dancers or predators. Ambassador Rax, their leader, didn't bow or offer a hand to shake. He simply sat down at the table and stared at Yoon with those strange eyes. "Commander Yoon," he said in a voice that sounded like it came through water, "I trust you've considered our proposal regarding the Mars mining rights." Yoon sat across from him, her team taking places beside her. Young Hana, the economic advisor, looked nervous. Old Sung, the military representative, looked angry. "We have," Yoon said carefully. "Earth United cannot accept your terms as presented. Mars has been our colony for 70 years. The southern hemisphere belongs to independent miners who have legal claims." One of the Vith made a sound like laughter. "Legal claims? Your laws mean nothing to us. We need the rare metals in those mountains, and we will have them." Sung's face reddened, but Yoon touched his arm gently. This was how it always went. The Vith didn't hide their feelings about humans. To them, humans were like children, emotional, unpredictable, primitive. "Perhaps we can find a compromise," Yoon suggested. "Shared mining operations with fair payment to the human settlers. Why would advanced beings like ourselves share with creatures who only reached space travel a century?" "Ego?" Rax interrupted. "Your technology is primitive. Your social systems are chaotic. You fight among yourselves over imaginary borders. You're ruled by emotions rather than logic." The room grew tense. Sung gripped the edge of the table so hard his knuckles turned white. Hana stared at her notes, not looking up. Yoon had heard these insults before. Every meeting was the same. The Vith making demands, treating humans like they were stupid animals who should be grateful for whatever scraps the aliens offered. "Ambassador Rax," Yoon said, her voice steady despite the anger bubbling inside her. "Emotions are not weakness. They're what drove us to reach the stars despite all odds. They're why we survived wars, plagues, and climate disasters. They're why we built colonies on Mars and Europa when everyone said it was impossible." Rax tilted his head. "Yet those same emotions make you unpredictable, dangerous even." He slid a document across the table. "These are our final terms. Mars. Mining rights to the Vith. Restricted human expansion beyond Europa. A technology exchange program where we provide you with basic improvements." Yoon looked at the document but didn't touch it. The terms were worse than before. If accepted, humans would essentially become servants in their own solar system. "We'll need time to review this," she said. "You have 3 Earth days," Rax replied. "After that, we will consider other options." The threat hung in the air like smoke. The Vith ships carried weapons that could destroy entire cities. Everyone knew it. As the meeting ended and the aliens left, Jin approached Yoon. "How can you stay so calm when they talk to us like that?" Yoon smiled slightly. "My grandmother taught me something when I was young. She said, 'Patience isn't weakness. It's choosing when to show your strength.'" She looked out at the stars, thinking about the millions of humans counting on her to protect their future. The Vith thought humans were ruled by emotions, but they didn't understand that emotions could be a source of incredible strength. "They think we'll give up because they're stronger," Yoon said quietly. "They don't know Earth's history very well. Humans never give up, not when it matters, and this matters more than anything." As she watched the Vith ship pull away from the station, Yoon knew bigger challenges were coming. But she also knew something the Vith would learn soon enough. When pushed too far, human determination was a force that could change the universe itself. The Europa research station hung like a bright pearl against the icy moon's surface. 63 scientists lived there, studying the ocean hidden beneath Europa's frozen crust. They were looking for alien life, the natural kind, tiny creatures swimming in dark waters. None of them expected to meet the other kind of aliens that Sunho, Yun's younger brother, had sent her a message just that morning. "Big sister, we found something amazing in the deep samples. Can't tell you yet. Official channels first, but it's going to change everything we know about life in the universe." Jason never got to learn what they found. It was midnight on Earth when her comm unit buzzed. She woke up instantly. Diplomats learned to sleep lightly. The face on her screen was Han, her second in command. His eyes told her everything before. He spoke. "Commander, there's been an attack on Europa Station." The room seemed to tilt around her. "Survivors?" 46 escaped in emergency pods. 17 confirmed dead. Han paused. "Commander, Sunho was in the main lab when it happened." "I'm sorry." Yun felt like someone had hollowed out her chest. She couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. Sunho had been the gentle one in the family, the smart one. While she fought in wars, he studied life. He used to collect tiny frogs when they were children, carefully moving them across busy roads so they wouldn't get crushed. "The Vith?" she finally managed to ask. Han nodded. 3 of their ships they fired without warning destroyed the main research lab and surrounding sections. They're claiming it was a security operation. Security? The word tasted bitter in her mouth. Against what? Scientists? My brother studied bacteria. What threat could he possibly... Her voice broke. They're broadcasting a message system-wide. They say the research team was developing bioweapons. That's their justification. Yun knew it was a lie. Sunho would never work on weapons. He healed things. He didn't break them. The Vith wanted something on Europa, maybe what Sunho had discovered, and they took it by force. 4 hours later, Yun stood in United Earth headquarters in Geneva. The emergency meeting room was packed with military leaders, politicians, and colony representatives. Admiral Tay, a legendary fleet commander with 50 years of service, led the meeting. He was known for his calm, even during the worst space battles of the Mars Independence War. Today his calm was gone. 17 civilians murdered. His fist crashed onto the table, making water glasses jump. Scientists, researchers, unarmed people whose only crime was studying a moon in our own solar system. The room erupted in voices. The governor of Mars Colony demanded immediate military action. The representative from Lunar Station wanted to cut off all communication with the Vith. The defense minister urged caution, reminding everyone of the Vith's superior weapons. A screen lit up on the wall, a transmission from the Vith collective. Ambassador Rax's purple face appeared, looking as emotionless as ever. "The operation on Europa was necessary for our security," he stated. "Our intelligence discovered that humans were developing biological agents designed to affect Vith physiology. We regret any loss of innocent life, but the research team there posed a direct threat to our people." Jun stepped forward. The room fell silent. Everyone knew who she was and who she had lost. "My brother was the lead microbiologist on Europa," she said, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. "He studied extremophile bacteria, tiny life, forms that survive in harsh conditions. There were no weapons." Rax stared back with those double-pupiled eyes. "Your emotional attachment blinds you, Commander Yun. We have evidence." "Show it then," she challenged. "The collective does not answer to humans," Rax replied, and the transmission ended. The silence in the room lasted only a moment before Admiral Tay spoke again, his voice now dangerously quiet. "They think they can come to our home, kill our people, and we'll just accept their lies." He looked around the room. "They don't understand who they're dealing with." News of the attack spread across Earth and beyond. In underground cities on Mars, miners gathered in silent crowds, watching footage of the destroyed station. On ocean platforms in Earth's Pacific, families held candles for the lost scientists. In the asteroid belt colonies, workers painted their ships with the words, "Remember Europa." Something was happening to humanity, something that hadn't occurred in generations. Old enemies set aside differences. Nations that had fought for centuries stood together. Colony independence movements joined forces with Earth governments. Yiyun watched it all from her office, feeling the change. The Vith had awakened something ancient in humans. Not just anger, though there was plenty of that. Something deeper. A refusal to be dominated. A determination that had carried humans through ice ages and plagues, through wars and disasters. In her hand, she held her brother's last message. On her wall screen, reports flowed in from every human settlement in the solar system. They were all saying the same thing in different ways. This will not stand. The Vith had made a terrible mistake. They had studied human technology, human weapons, human tactics, but they had never truly understood human nature. They were about to learn what happened when humans got angry, and no force in the galaxy could stop what was coming. The great hall of the Vith High Command gleamed with polished stone brought from their homeworld. 7 leaders sat in a semicircle, their purple skin almost black in the dim light. Holograms floated above the center table, showing damaged Vith ships, the unexpected result of a small human counterattack near Mars. 3 patrol vessels disabled. Supreme Commander Kiv said, his double-pupiled eyes narrowing. "By mining ships, mining ships!" His voice echoed off the ancient walls. The Vith prided themselves on emotional control, but Kiv was struggling to maintain it. Elder Du stood quietly at the edge of the room. Unlike the military leaders, Du was a scholar. For 20 years he had studied the strange species called humans, learning their languages, reading their histories, watching their entertainment. The more he learned, the more concerned he became. The mining ships were converted to fighters, one of the commanders explained. They stripped the drilling equipment and installed makeshift weapons, crude but effective at close range. "Impossible," another leader said. "Our scans showed no military capabilities on those vessels. The humans built the weapons after we destroyed their research station," Doe said quietly. All heads turned toward him. "They built them in less than a week," Kivi gestured impatiently. "You've been summoned to explain this behavior, Elder. Our models predicted humans would retreat after our show of force on Europa. Instead, they're attacking our patrols and broadcasting challenges across all frequencies. It makes no sense." Du stepped forward, his old legs moving slowly across the polished floor. On the table before the leaders, he placed a simple object, a book. Not a data crystal or holographic record, but actual paper bound with thread. The leaders looked at it with distaste. "This is a human history text," Du explained. "One of thousands I've studied. This particular one covers something they call the Battle of Thermopylae. 300 soldiers stood against an army of tens of thousands. They knew they would die, but they fought anyway." "Foolishness," said one leader. "Perhaps," Du agreed. "But this book sits in the homes of many humans thousands of years later. They remember those 300 as heroes. They teach their children about them." Du touched a control panel, and the holograms changed to show scenes from Earth's history. Ancient battles, revolutions, explorations. "Humans do not calculate odds of success as we do," he continued. "When our analysts determined that attacking their station would cause them to surrender, they used Vith logic. But humans don't think like us. When faced with superior force, they often become more determined, not less." Kiv made a dismissive gesture. "They are irrational then, emotional, primitive. This only confirms our assessment." "With respect, Supreme Commander, their emotions aren't weakness, they're fuel." Du pointed to different images as he spoke. "These humans crossed an ocean in wooden boats, not knowing if land was on the other side. These humans continued fighting after losing millions in a war. And these humans went to their moon using computers less powerful than our cleaning drones." The room fell silent. "Do let them study the images before continuing. In all my research, I've found one consistent pattern. Humans rarely achieve their greatest accomplishments through careful calculation. They do it through what they call determination, or grit. They simply refuse to accept defeat." One of the younger leaders leaned forward. "Are you suggesting we should fear these primitives? Our smallest scout ship could destroy their largest warship." "I'm suggesting we've made a grave error," Du replied. by attacking their scientists, people. They consider innocent. We've united them. Throughout their history, humans are at their most dangerous when they have a common enemy. They set aside their internal conflicts. They innovate at remarkable speeds. They take risks no Vith would consider. Du showed them more images. Humans working in what appeared to be ordinary rooms but creating extraordinary things. This human invented a new form of mathematics after being told his theories were impossible. This human created a vaccine in her kitchen when authorities said it would take years. This human built a spacecraft from scavenged parts when his government abandoned him on another planet. Du paused. They call it spite, doing something precisely because someone said they couldn't. Kiv stood up, towering over the elder. Enough of these stories. What do you recommend? Withdraw from their solar system immediately, Du said without hesitation. Offer reparations for the Europa attack. Apologize. The leaders stared at him. In 3,000 years of Vith history, they had never retreated, never apologized. Their technological superiority had always guaranteed victory. Absurd, Kiv finally said. We need the resources in this system. The humans will learn their place, as all inferior species do. They won't, Do insisted, his voice rising. You don't understand. I've studied every conflict in their history. When outmatched, they don't surrender. They change the rules. They use their environment. They form unexpected alliances. They sacrifice themselves for future victories. The youngest leader, Tiv, looked troubled. The elder's concerns seemed genuine. Perhaps we should crush any resistance immediately, Kiv interrupted. Double the patrols around Mars. Blockade Earth. Show them the consequences of defiance. Du tried one last time. Supreme Commander, there's a human saying, beware the fury of a patient man. We have misinterpreted their diplomatic patience as weakness. It is not. It is restraint. And we have just destroyed that restraint. But the decision had been made. The leaders turned away from Du, already discussing deployment strategies and resource allocation. His warnings faded into the cool air of the command hall unheeded. As Do left the chamber, he felt something unusual, a feeling so rare among the Vith that he struggled to identify it. After a moment, he recognized it. Fear. Not for himself, but for his people. The Vith had encountered many species in their long history of expansion. They had always prevailed through superior technology and disciplined tactics, but they had never faced humans before. And humans, Du knew, didn't play by the rules. The Vith were about to learn a painful lesson about underestimating their enemy. The Vith blockade of Earth was supposed to be simple. Their warships formed a perfect ring. Around the planet, advanced sensors ready to destroy any vessel that tried to break through. Fleet Commander Pax watched from his command ship, confident that humans would surrender within days, once they realized resistance was pointless. He was wrong. The first sign came when his ship's communication system suddenly displayed Earth entertainment programs instead of tactical data. His technicians rushed to fix it, but no sooner had they restored the system than it happened again, this time with human music blasting through every speaker on the ship. What is happening? Pax demanded. Humans, his chief technician answered, looking confused. They've somehow bypassed our encryption. They're in our systems. On Earth, in a basement apartment in Seoul, young Mi smiled as she typed furious commands into her computer. Around her, 30 other hackers worked at similar stations. None of them were military. They were game designers, software engineers, and college students. They had found weaknesses in the Vith communication systems after studying the signals for just 3 days. They use a predictable pattern in their encryption, Young Mi explained to the United Earth representative watching over her shoulder. Every 30 seconds, there's a tiny gap. It's only open for microseconds, but that's all we need. One by one, Vith ships around Earth began experiencing system failures. Navigation data corrupted, weapons targeting systems showing false readings, communication between ships breaking down. Meanwhile, on Mars, the real counterattack was taking shape. Jun led the mining colony on Olympus Mons, the massive Martian volcano. For years, his teams had used heavy drilling equipment to extract rare metals from the mountain. Now those same machines were being transformed. The drill head can pierce 2 meters of solid rock, Jun told the gathered miners. The Vith hulls are strong, but they're not stronger than Martian bedrock. Everywhere across human space, people were building, adapting, and planning. No central command directed them. They simply saw what needed to be done and did it. Farmers welded metal plates to transport ships. Scientists developed jammers to confuse Vith sensors. Ordinary people studied Vith transmissions, looking for patterns and weaknesses. On Earth's moon, Commander Yun met with Admiral Tay. The official United Earth military was preparing its own response, but both knew the real fight was already happening. Led by civilians with determination and creativity, no war room could match. The Vith expect us to follow military protocols, Yun said, to behave as they would. But that's never been humanity's strength, Tay nodded. We need to coordinate these civilian efforts, not control them. Give them targets, information, but let them fight their way. 3 days later, Pax watched in disbelief as his sensors detected hundreds of ships rising from Mars. They weren't military vessels. They were mining ships, transport containers, and maintenance crafts, all modified with crude weapons and extra engines. They can't seriously think those will be effective against us, he said to his second-in-command. Scan them. They're barely armed. When the results came back, Pax laughed. The human ships had welded drill bits to their fronts. Their engines were overclocked, running at dangerous levels. Their hulls were reinforced with whatever metal the humans had found. They're desperate, he told his crew. This will be over quickly. Target the lead vessels. The Vith ships fired their energy weapons, designed to disable ships cleanly. Several human vessels exploded or drifted dead in space, but the others kept coming. Then something unexpected happened. The human ships split into small groups and accelerated to speeds that made Pax's tactical officer gasp. Sir, they're exceeding safe velocity by 300%. Their hulls can't withstand that kind of stress. The G-forces inside would kill the pilots. Then they're on autopilot, Pax reasoned. No, sir, we're detecting life signs. They're still being piloted. Inside one of those ships, Pilot Day gripped her controls as blood vessels burst in her eyes from the G-forces. The emergency warnings flashed red across her console. The ship's AI kept repeating, "Unsafe acceleration, reduce speed immediately." Dai ignored it. Her brother had been on Europa. She wasn't turning back. The mining ship formations executed maneuvers that the Vith computers classified as physically impossible and suicidally reckless. They spun on their axes while accelerating, creating unpredictable patterns. They flew directly at Vith vessels before veering away at the last second, confusing targeting systems. And some didn't veer away at all. The first mining ship hit a Vith cruiser at full speed, its reinforced drill bit punching through the advanced alien hull. Both ships were destroyed, but the Vith vessel, worth more resources than 100 human ships, was lost. Then another hit, and another. They're deliberately crashing into us, Pax said in disbelief. Why would they sacrifice themselves? His tactical officer had no answer. Nothing in Vith military doctrine included suicide attacks. The concept was alien to their logical minds. What the Vith couldn't understand was that the human pilots didn't see themselves as committing suicide. In their minds, they were saving Earth, protecting their families, avenging Europa. The calculus was simple to them. If their death meant the survival of humanity, it was an easy choice. As the battle continued, the Vith found themselves facing an enemy that wouldn't retreat when losses mounted. Human ships with failing systems kept fighting. Damaged vessels rammed themselves into Vith ships rather than surrender. Pilots pushed beyond blackout conditions, blood filling their lungs, still gripping their controls. On his command ship, Pax watched as another Vith cruiser exploded. His perfectly planned blockade was falling apart, not because the humans had better technology or strategy, but because they simply refused to behave as a logical species should. Sir, his second-in-command said quietly, we've lost 23 ships. The humans have lost hundreds, but they keep coming. This isn't war as we understand it. Pax stared at the tactical display, watching more human ships rise from Mars, from the asteroid belt, from Earth itself. For the first time in his life, he felt something new, something uncomfortable. He felt fear, The humans weren't just fighting. They were unleashed. The Vith diplomatic vessel approached Earth with a white light glowing at its bow, a universal signal of peaceful intent. 6 weeks had passed since the battle that humans now called the Mars Stand. 6 weeks since ordinary people in makeshift ships had broken the Vith blockade. 6 weeks since the most powerful alien fleet known to humanity had begun its retreat. Commander Yun stood at the observation window of the International Peace Station, watching the Vith ship dock. Her reflection showed a face thinner than before, with new lines around the eyes. Grief and war had marked her, but hadn't broken her. "Commander," said Jin, still serving as her assistant despite offers of promotion, "they've sent their delegation list. Elder Du will be their chief negotiator." Yun nodded. Interesting choice, not a military leader or politician. He's a scholar who studied Earth for decades. Some say he warned the Vith against attacking us. The docking procedure completed with a soft thud. Yun straightened her uniform and touched the small photo of Sunho she kept in her pocket. Her brother wouldn't see this day, but he was part of why it had come. The meeting room was simple: a round table, chairs, windows showing Earth below. No weapons were allowed, but the tension made the air feel heavy anyway. When the Vith entered, led by Elder Du, Yun noted how different they looked from her last meeting with them. Less proud, less certain. Du bowed slightly, a human gesture he must have learned in his studies. "Commander Yun, thank you for agreeing to these talks." Yun didn't smile. "The United Earth Parliament voted to hear your proposal. That's why I'm here." They sat across from each other, two beings from worlds light years apart. Behind Yun stood Admiral Tay, along with representatives from Mars, the moon colonies, and the asteroid belt settlements. Behind Do stood 3 Vith officials, looking uncomfortable in the Earth normal gravity. "The Vith Collective," Do began, his voice carrying that strange underwater quality, "formally requests an end to hostilities between our peoples." The room remained silent. After what the Vith had done, no one was going to make this easy for them. "We offer unconditional withdrawal from your solar system," Du continued. "All Vith ships and personnel will depart immediately upon agreement of terms." Admiral Tay leaned forward. "After you attacked Europa? After you killed our scientists and tried to blockade Earth? You expect to just leave?" Du's double-pupiled eyes blinked slowly. "No. We understand that more is required." He placed a data crystal on the table. "This contains our formal apology and acknowledgement of wrongdoing regarding the Europa Research Station. It also outlines our proposed reparations." Yun picked up the crystal and inserted it into the table's reader. Holographic displays appeared, showing details of the Vith offer. The human delegation leaned in to study it. 10 Vith medical ships to be gifted to Earth, read the Mars representative. "Access to Vith faster-than-light technology. Restoration. South Europa Station," he looked up. "This is substantial." "It's what justice demands," Du said simply. Yun studied the old Vith carefully. "What changed, Elder?" 6 weeks ago the collective called us primitive and demanded our submission. Now you offer technology your people have guarded for centuries." Was silent for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He dismissed the other Vith from the room. They hesitated, then obeyed, leaving him alone with the humans. "I have studied your species for 50 years, Du said after they left. "I read your books, watched your entertainment, learned your languages, but I never truly understood humans until I saw what happened after Europa." He stood and walked to the window, looking down at Earth. "The Vith have encountered many intelligent species in our exploration. Most respond to superior force by submitting. It's logical, it minimizes losses." He turned back to the humans. "You did the opposite. When faced with ships that outmatched yours by every measure, you didn't calculate the odds of victory. You simply refused to accept defeat. Yun thought of the mining ships that had rammed Vith cruisers, of the hackers who worked without sleep for days to break alien encryption, of how humans across the solar system had united after Europa. "We've never seen anything like it," Du continued. "Your smaller, weaker ships shouldn't have been able to defeat our blockade. but your pilots flew in ways our tactical computers classified as impossible. Your engineers repurposed mining equipment into weapons in days, not the months or years it should have taken. Your people accepted sacrifice not out of obedience to authority, but out of personal choice. We were protecting our home, Yoon said simply. Yes, and that brings me to my confession. Du's voice grew quieter. I warned the High Command about humans. I told them that your emotional nature wasn't weakness, it was strength, that when threatened, humans become more dangerous, not less. They didn't believe me. He looked directly at Yoon. They understand now. The negotiations continued for 3 days. The terms grew more favorable for humanity with each session, not because the humans demanded more, but because the Vith kept offering more. Scientific knowledge, medical technology, star maps. On the final day, Yoon and Do sat alone after the others had left to prepare the formal signing ceremony. There's something I don't understand, Yoon said. Why did the Vith attack Europa in the first place? What were you looking for? Do hesitated. Your brother's research team found something in Europa's ocean. Microbial life with the unusual genetic structure, similar to ancient Vith ancestors. Some in our leadership feared what would happen if humans discovered our evolutionary origins. Yoon felt a wave of sadness for her brother, who had only wanted to understand the universe better. So you attacked them to hide the truth? Yes, Do admitted. A terrible mistake born of fear and pride. The next day, the peace treaty was signed. News broadcasts showed it happening. The first official agreement between humanity and an alien civilization. The terms included not just reparations, but cooperation, scientific exchange, cultural understanding. As Yoon signed her name to the document, she thought about her brother. About the miners who had turned their tools into weapons. About the pilots who had given everything. You transformed grief and rage into strength, Do said quietly as they stood afterward. We mistook your emotional nature for weakness, when it is in fact your greatest power. Yoon looked out at the stars visible through the station's windows. Somewhere out there were other civilizations, other beings who might someday encounter humanity. We feel deeply, she replied. It's both our burden and our gift. As the Vith ships departed in the days that followed, humanity began to rebuild. Europa Station would rise again, continuing Sun Ho's research. The knowledge gained from the Vith would help humans reach further into space than ever before. But perhaps the most important lesson wasn't about technology or politics. It was about human nature itself. In their darkest moment, facing an enemy, with vastly superior power, humans had shown what truly made them unique in the universe. Not their tools or their tactics, but their spirit. Their refusal to surrender, their ability to transform grief into determination. As Yoon stood on the observation deck, watching the last Vith ship disappear into the darkness, she knew the universe had just learned something important about the third planet from an ordinary yellow star. When humans get angry, no one can stop them.